Hey guys, welcome back. This is James again. Today we're going to be discussing the one by Wacom, this tablet here, and this is going to be another of those videos that I'm going to be making of tools for designers. The first in this series of tools for designers is going to be this tablet here. So for those of you who've been following me on Instagram, you'll know that I've been posting some artwork and stuff, and I've been actually using this tablet here. But when I bought it, there are things that I didn't know, because when I did my research, most of the people who are reviewing this product, all they did was to just plug it in and start using it. Now when you do that, you actually are limiting yourself, because now you're using it as a mouse. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you're going to be, when you go to the website, it's wacom.com/start/1. So it's www.wacom.com/start/1, and I'm going to be leaving this link in the description below. When you buy this product, when you buy this product, you want to go to this website and you follow the instructions first. So when you go to this website, it will lead you here. So it says plug in your cable and into the computer, and then you download these drivers. Now, believe it or not, all the artwork that you've seen on Instagram so far till this day, I didn't use any drivers. So it was equivalent to it's equivalent to me using a mouse. But even then, I really liked this product, because as soon as I started using it, I drastically stopped using my mouse. I only use my mouse for 3D in Blender. Those of you who do 3D, you know that there are some limitations, like in scrolling and panning around. It's a pain to use a pen. So I decided to, maybe for the meantime, as Blender is being developed, maybe with time they might add an option for a pen. But for the meantime, that's the only time I use my mouse. For the rest of the things, video editing, graphic design work, and everything that I do, I always use my pen and this tablet here. So to me, over the past months, it's been very, very helpful. But there are things that I didn't know, and that's what I'm going to show you now. I'm going to be doing an in-depth review. Starting out, after you download that software, you want to install it. Now when you install it, it's going to lead you to it's going to ask you to go to this start button here. Of course, doing that, you have to have a member ID here, so a Wacom ID. So once you have your Wacom ID and everything, you just come to the start button, Wacom tablet properties. You'll find that in your start menu. So in the start properties here, to explain it quickly, this is just configuration. Now this means that all the applications, for example here, when you have an application here, right, so when it says all, which means the settings that you're going to set here, they're all going to apply to this application. Now for example, if you want to use different options, say for Photoshop, let me say, right, you may want to come here, for example, and then select, let's say, Photoshop, and say okay, and then you make different settings for it. So maybe you want a different pressure for it, or you want something different for that. All right, this is essentially when you're setting it up. But for the sake of like keeping your work easy, and for the most case, unless you're going into maybe if you're going into like detailed stuff, maybe then you may want to, and you find that these settings aren't working for what you want, then you can use this option here, right? But if you don't need it, you can just delete it, right? So when you're done with that, you now there is this other option of mapping. When you're starting out, you'll find that if you put it at pen level, right? If you leave it at pen, it's a pain to use it in pen mode. So for me, what I do is I switch it to mouse mode, and I just set mouse acceleration. I put it to 0, because if it's in mouse mode by default values, the cursor moves very quickly, but these settings, they move relative to my hand speed and hand acceleration. So if I want it to move fast, it will move fast. If I want it to move slow, it will move slow. That's why I changed the default values. So you can also change the default values based on what you want to do. Let's first go over to Photoshop, for example, and let me turn off the pen pressures, for example, here. When you do that, okay, here, when you go to shape dynamics, okay, and you want, for example, this brush here, if you don't have the drivers, even if you turn on shape dynamics, this shape is going to be like this, right? But if you have the drivers and then you have these options checked like that, right? So you will have these tapered edges. I've seen very many tutorials where people are asking why their brushes do not actually taper like this. It's because they're using tablets as a mouse, and they don't have the drivers, right? So most of your problems will be solved by updating your drivers, making sure you have the latest update. So in Photoshop, when you turn on shape dynamics like that, for example, and come here, this affects the opacity. For example, let me lightly move like this. It has this less opacity, and if I click harder again, the opacity will increase. So you can see the opacity there, and then as I increase the pressure, you'll see that again the opacity changes. Now the flow is like the number of strokes that you make leading into, right? So you can see again I've turned on the flow and it's helping me. This just helps you to build up, right? So it just helps you to build up a little bit very quickly, right? So, and then here when you have this turned on again, now this affects the size of the brush. For example, if I lightly press, you see that it has a smaller diameter, and if I press harder, the diameter increases. Okay, you see that it's like that. So when you like shading in Photoshop and you have a combination of all those, you'll have these different variations. Whereas if you don't have those drivers and you try to do the same thing, you'll see that I'm using the same pressure variations, but you'll see the result there is terrible. And turning on those controls using the same pressure variations, you see the difference. Okay, so this gives you very different options to use when you're working. Moving on to Illustrator very quickly, again it's the same thing. In Illustrator though, when you have your brush options here, in Illustrator the default brushes, it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to do that. So the way you actually go about doing that in Illustrator is very simple. There are two options. One, you can create your own brush. So that means maybe you first go here and you create a brush with tapered edges, for example. And I think I've made tutorials about that. Okay, you do that, and then you say you go to the let's say you go to the brush presets here. what are my brush options? My brush options here, and you say new brush right there, create art brush, okay, and then you give it a name, right? So you give it a name, brush, art brush 1 or 1112, blah blah. Give it a name and stuff, and there it is. So you can delete this, and now when you begin, you bring your pen tool, you will now see that you have those variations, okay? But that is not actually what the pen pressure is all about, because this one you can do the same thing with a mouse. To achieve pen pressure in here, you have to do a different method. Let's go again to add new art brush, add a calligraphic brush, okay? So when you add a calligraphic brush, you can name it again 1222 blah blah, okay? So here you can change the angle, put it at 100, maybe on 180, put those to roundness to 100, and then change this variation of size, change it to pressure. So, and then you change the variation, you crank it all the way. You will see that when I move it up, you see the variation there being created. All right. So when you leave it up there and click OK, so now when you come here and do it, you try to make the same thing. So you'll see that this area has a less diameter than this because I use less pressure here and more pressure there. But the problem with Illustrator isn't really as superior as Photoshop when it comes to art related stuff. Okay, when you install the drivers, there are other options here that you will have. For example, here it gives you an option to illustrate, to write on the screen that you're using. Here it gives you an option for the sketch pad. For example, it brings up the sketch pad, and this option, I realize it comes when after downloading, installing the drivers and everything. It will just show up down there on your keyboard or on your taskbar. So here you will have your pen, your pencil again, which you can change. Here you will have your marker, eraser, rulers and protractors, and then other stuff. So here you can have a pen, and the good thing with these pens, okay, they are pretty accurate with your handwriting. So the handwriting you're seeing here is pretty much the same as you would write in real life, and not like in Photoshop. It will be almost the same, but it won't be the same. Again, you will see in Illustrator, you can see that. Sorry, there is another option here. This is now I'm using a pencil, so you can come here and just doodle around, sketch your ideas. For example, if in graphic design, you can come here and try doing your logo sketches on here. You can come here and try highlighting results stuff, and then you can delete, use the rulers, you can use protractor. So there are many options. Okay, so it all comes down to understanding maybe what you want. Okay, you can also write, if you have a presentation, you can write on your screen directly. Doesn't matter which screen you're using. For example, this is Illustrator, because this is the screen that is currently active. So this option allows you to, let's imagine when you're here, I think you've seen me doing this in the video, you can just write, it kind of takes a screenshot and allows you to write on the screen. Okay, yeah. So, and another option that I'm not going to demonstrate for you here, Another option I'm not going to demonstrate for you because again I have some confidential information in there, but it's sticky notes. Sticky notes, you can keep your schedules, stuff, and what all that will do to be like a sticky note. You know how to use sticky notes. They will just appear on your desktop like that. Even if you close your desktop and come back tomorrow and restart again, you'll find your sticky notes there, so you can keep important schedules and stuff like that to track your progress. So all in all, this is everything that you may want to know about how to use this. I'm going to be making more tutorials regarding the Wacom, other tools for designers, maybe hardware or software related, that I find useful. Okay, so I'm not going to review products that I don't use because I want to know what I'm talking about. So that's why I prefer to only review products that I'm using. That's why you may not see very many reviews occasionally. You may see one review maybe in a month or two. The disadvantages, it's because the size, all right? So if I had I have the worst camera, but if you had like the size is if for example I'm about 6 feet, so my palm, it's about like the width of this it's about the width of this area here. But anyway, I don't know how to explain it easily but maybe I'll find some photos and try to show you in comparison. I can work with that, and I think it's okay. Another disadvantage is it's very short wire, and it's not wireless, by the way. You connect it to your laptop via USB. So if you don't have, I don't know if there are those, but if you don't have a laptop without a USB, you may not be able to use this. I'm right-handed, and sometimes on my right hand there is only one USB port that I don't use, so I have to rotate the wire over to the left side, and then on the left side you rotate it behind your laptop, and then like there are a lot of wires going on, but compared to like some other wireless tablets out there, but again for the price, it's a very great product to have, and for me it's very okay. Because I don't move around the tablet, so it's the shortness of the wire or the height of the wire, the length of the wire isn't important to me. Another disadvantage is, again, like I haven't used other tablets before, but I feel that the pen, the lead is kind of clicky. It can move around sometimes, which it can get annoying. It's very small movements, but it kind of gets a little bit clickish, and you see that work area, those dots, those white dots, that's your work area. So when you're moving around, it's a little bit, it's even very hard. Maybe again, I don't know, maybe that's what other tablets are like, I think. But then this, it's very clickish, like it's not stable. The pen lead, that small, it's not very stable. It moves around a little bit, it's shaky. But then again, it causes minimal error, if any. I don't. Now I've gotten used to it. In the beginning, it wasn't very friendly, but I got used to it. It's raining outside, and I think my microphone is picking up that noise. So I'm going to leave it at this, and let me know how you found, whether you like it. I'm going to leave links in the description below if you want to see this same product that I bought and stuff. I'm going to leave everything in the description. Make sure you check it out, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Take care. Bye.